Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Library of Ruina reaction. After the last one had so much attention on it and so many people were loving that one, I was like, okay, let's revisit this and see what other ones people want me to listen to. Saw a lot of comments and a lot of likes on those comments about Binah, the battle theme. I don't know if it's Binah or Binah, I have no clue. And of course, since I'll be listening to it, I'll be listening to all three phases of this theme. So without further ado, let's go. Oh, this is completely different. Okay. Gotta readjust my brain waves. The flow of this. I can tell I'm gonna like all three phases of this one right off the bat. Oh, it's scaled up already. I'm following the piano in the background. It's very subtle underneath everything else. Ooh. Whoa, 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 Jesus Christ. All right, geez. Must be the second phase. Definitely getting more intense, obviously. Speeding things up. Bass drop, gotta have it. Modern intensity, you need a bass drop in there, you know? This legitimately feels very fantasy core. The evolution of this one so far between first and second, like, theme is surprisingly consistent. I wasn't sure if they were gonna do like a completely different energy, but they ended up following with very similar, just a much more aggressive tone from the first. Are we in the third phase? We are. Wow, okay, that was smooth. That was very smooth. The first one was much more obvious. Okay, Jesus Christ. Arpeggiate all over this piece. Good lord. I absolutely love how this studio does their scaling between tracks and themes. It feels so effortless. but it never fails to keep the energy growing. And yep, and sudden just like last time. All right, so I dug into this song just a little bit when it comes to the music theory, just to figure out exactly why I was feeling the way I was, why that growth was really hitting me really hard on this song. And it makes sense, obviously, tearing it apart, deconstructing it, and figuring out exactly what chords are being played throughout. We get the key of D minor in this case, and all the chords utilized are within the key of D minor in this case, so I don't think there's actually any use of a shift to the F major key, which is its relative major, except for one particular chord, which we'll of course get to, but I think it's borrowing that from the F major key, kind of just to help out with pushing the more epic energy, that lift that comes from it, because it starts pretty like low and like a little bit more somber, and then builds upon that through the end. It gets a lot more epic and a lot more pressing overall. It gets more oppressive by the end, I would say. And there's the one specific chord in there that I think they decided to borrow from F major to do that. It could actually be one of the chords in D minor, just changed a little bit due to all the surrounding instruments. Sometimes those are hard to figure out when I'm just sitting here with a final piece in front of me and trying to hear what these differences are. As we all know, I'm not a professional music theorist or a musician like that in any respect. I just do the best I can. But at large, this song seems to stick in this chord progression of D minor to A minor to, I think, B flat, and then G minor, and then goes back to D minor, with various minor changes to that, no pun intended, throughout, utilizing different chords as different bridges to different parts of the song. But when it gets to the second part of this song, or the second phase, it actually starts adding some more major chords in there, namely C major and A major, and the A is that chord I mentioned earlier that was kind of messing things up because I had mentioned A minor, but A major isn't in D minor's key. So it's like, where is that coming from? Probably F major, because it's in there. Because that isn't uncommon to borrow chords from the relative key and utilize them for a different key, as long as you're not overdoing it or using something that's completely off the beaten path, you know, something that is still within the family of what you're making. And since there is a minor in there, then A major also does make sense. The use of C major is a little bit more nebulous though, because it is in both F major and D minor. But in this case, it's just kind of a lifting chord because there are so many other flats and minor chords around it that it just feels a lot more bright, and it's kind of used that way. It's used as a lift rather than settling things back down. It helps make everything a bit more lively, and I think the A major feel is kind of what's happening there as well. It's just in general, as you make the song more energetic, you have to have more of a major lift in there, and therefore you get a lot more chord flexibility, and you have to start melding them together a little bit more readily. Being that all of that is the majority of the song, it's pretty easy to just kind of put it down there and go, okay, so that's what the song's comprised of. But there's a specific chord that appears one time that I could really hear while listening to the song a few times, and it's E flat major. And that only exists in this song at the very end. That like moment right before the cutoff, it changes to that chord, I think, because it doesn't match any of the other ones I just mentioned, not well at least. So I think that that was meant to be a transitional chord to whatever piece would start playing after this, or is maybe meant to be a bridge back to the start. For some reason, I can't quite figure out why that was there. It obviously ends really abruptly, and I can't tell where the song is going to go afterwards, but it feels really unique in this song, considering it hadn't been used, what I could tell, throughout the rest of it. So it's like, okay, what are you doing there, E flat major? Where were you this whole time? But less on the nerdy stuff and more on my general opinions. I think Studio EIM does a brilliant job of making these songs so smooth with it. Like, they're so clean. Every single transition, like even between the first and second phases of this set, there was that more like abrasive stop between the two, and that's fine, because it still felt like the song was continuing into the second one. It might not have been a smooth transition, but I could feel the song was continuing from the end of the first one. And if you were to blend them a little bit smoother, even in post, it would totally feel natural. And much like Gabura's battle theme, I wouldn't have noticed if that was just a little bit more spliced together. The second half to the third half did exactly that. I didn't even notice. I thought that we had entered that third part, and I didn't even notice until like, what, 10, 20 seconds into it. So it's like, okay, cool. This is a brilliant way to write music, making it so smooth, and just to the point of not being able to tell as a listener. It feels much more organic, and you don't have to worry about that jarring sensation to the player when they're trying to experience the game. It's just good sound design, having that much attention to the detail between the tracks and making it feel so much more like one unit rather than a bunch of separate pieces. It's one of my favorite things about game music, when they're able to manage that bridge so well that you don't even notice you've crossed it. That is so smooth, and this studio consistently does that so well, especially for the Library of Ruina songs I've heard. Every single one I've heard of them that has multiple phases, I'm like, oh wow, okay, I see what they're actually doing here. They're like masters at being able to just crank that dial, starting it at already a good pace, and then just working it just enough as the song continues to feel like a natural progression, more layers, stuff that you don't expect to be there, but they put it in there anyway, and you're like, oh, I forgot that that even existed, that you could even do that. They do that all the time, and I'm like, man, if only I were good. And just as a quick aside to end out this section of the video, I've read plenty of comments that apparently this is not a mobile game, and to be honest with you, I didn't even process that I said it was a mobile game. Like, I had forgotten I said that at all until I read the comments. I just kind of assumed everything that people throw at me on this channel is a mobile game, unless it's like blatantly obvious that it's not. But obviously logic dictates, if I make a mistake and I'm corrected on it, to just continue on with that correction and own up to it. So here I am doing that. Either way, if you like this video and you like hearing me ramble about these songs and you have something else you want me to get to, by all means drop it in the comments below and I will do my best. I heard from somebody that there is a new Limbus Company song that like just came out, so if you guys want me to listen to that, drop it down below and I will do my best as always. And otherwise, if you like this video and you liked hearing me ramble about all the music theory crap that I do and you want to see more of it, you know how to follow me and support me and all that, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!